Good morning, everyone. Magandang umaga. It's great to be here with you guys. I've got a lot of content I want to get through today and especially given that the audience, some of you know Matterport, some of you don't know much about us, and there's some maybes in there. I wasn't expecting too many maybes, but at the end of this session, we will move everybody up into that yes column, and hopefully you'll be walking away with both being informed about some new capabilities that can help and support your business, but also ways in which we can empower new value for your respective organizations. Just before I jump in, there is a Q&A feature, I believe, in Zoom that's been activated. If you've got questions, please post them in there. We will reserve between 10 to 15 minutes at the end of my presentation for Q&A, but feel free to drop in questions as we go. My esteemed colleagues of Alex and Johan will answer questions midstream, but make sure you pay attention to my presentation. Don't get too off track. And but also we'll also answer questions at the end as well. All right. So without further ado, let me jump into my presentation. I will start with the video that you see playing in front of you. I often use this short video to illustrate what Matterport provides. So this is an example of one of the outputs from Matterport. And what you see here is a dimensionally accurate, photorealistic, highly immersive 3D digital twin of that built space. So this is a property, I believe it's in San Francisco. Using Matterport, we enable our partners, our users, our customers to very easily go on site and capture, using a variety of different compatible cameras, be able to capture that physical location, and then our technology will automatically render and deliver back this 3D digital twin. And over the course of the next kind of 25 minutes or so, I'm going to share with you some use cases and examples specifically focusing on the AEC industry. So we'll look at various aspects that should be very relevant to your businesses. All right, so without further ado, let me get into the first section here. So as mentioned, I've got a lot of content, probably more content than we have time for, but I'm confident I can get through this and really excite you with some really exciting things that are going on. So we will be talking a lot about the growth of digital twins. I'm going to share specifically examples within the AEC industry. And then what I'm also excited to share with you is a little bit of a glimpse of our product roadmap and the direction that we're going, because there's a lot of amazing things that we're delivering today, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. We've got an incredible amount of growth moving forward, which links into the last one. We've just celebrated our 10-year anniversary, and we'll be talking more about our future pipeline. I only have one slide on our credentials, so just a quick overview of who Matterport is if you're not familiar with Matterport as a brand. Our company is founded and headquartered in California, outside of San Francisco in Silicon Valley. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary, so the X above my shoulder and Alex's and Johan's is our logo for our 10-year anniversary that we just celebrated last month. We're also very excited to share that we now have over 330,000 customers in over 150 countries, and yes, that includes in the Philippines. And those customers have actually generated more than 5.5 million spaces. So when we say a space, what we mean is a 3D digital twin. So that example I showed you a moment ago of that home in San Francisco, that is one of the 5.5 million spaces that have been scanned and delivered and is adding value for our customers around the world. So that's a good segue into how our customers using digital twins. And there are a lot of use cases. The way that we look at the value of a digital twin and how Matterport can unlock value in your business is really across the entire property lifecycle. So we're working in the design space, so with architects, engineering, interior design, consulting companies, to help and drive efficiencies in that initial design phase, especially when you're looking at a refit, a remodel, a renovation of an existing property. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. The build sector. So this is looking at looking at how you use a digital twin to accelerate and drive efficiencies in the build process. So streamlining some of the workflows, documentation. This includes BIM. This also includes just milestone-based milestone-based tracking. And especially now that we're all living in a travel-restricted world with COVID, getting on site to look at progress and being able to understand how things are progressing and drive efficiencies in that the build process, we're unlocking a lot of value there, and I'll share more about that in a moment. Our hallmark, or our centerpiece of where Matterport started and still is the largest sector for us, is in the promote space. This is using Matterport to help in the selling and merchandising or marketing of property. So this is in residential, commercial, industrial, where you can use the Matterport 3D digital twin to create a virtual tour to allow potential buyers or renters to be able to engage with that property without physically needing to be on site. There has been a lot, especially with COVID, we've seen this massive acceleration of using digital twins to help drive that across the world. And with some incredible case studies and value that's been unlocked with this. And this is certainly something that's not going to reverse. This is a trend that's here to stay as people now have recognized in a new way the value that this is really unlocking for the promotion and selling of real estate. The last section is we work with a number of clients in the facilities management, property management. Anybody who's got a portfolio of property, whether that's used in external or internal uses, incredible amounts of value that can be unlocked by using a digital twin to drive efficiencies in that property management process. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well, and happy to share more examples later on. And lastly, which we won't cover today, but an exciting area of growth for us has been in the insurance and restoration sector. So working with insurance carriers for the underwriting, especially for large commercial and industrial properties, using a Matterport digital twin as part of that underwriting process. Great sense of documentation that can go into your policy to protect your assets, especially when you're looking at large value assets. And the other thing is working in the claims process. So unlocking some value in the claims process, working with restoration and assessors when in the event of a claim. The last thing I want to touch on in this slide, and you can see it here, is that basically all industry verticals that have physical assets, property assets, are using Matterport and extracting value with their digital twins. So certainly in the commercial and residential real estate, it's a big area. As I mentioned, construction for industrial, but also retail is an amazing growth area. And we'll talk I'll give you some examples about that in a moment. But travel is really anybody who's got physical property, physical assets. We are finding how we can drive value for those customers. Now, I mentioned that, and I think like in my earlier example, Matterport often gets associated with our very immersive and photoreal digital twins for the promotion of real estate. I know on the earlier slide there was an example from Robinson Land as an example, who is using Matterport to support the selling and leasing of some of their properties. And again, there are literally millions of models around the world with homes for sale, apartments, office space, etc. But I wanted to kind of quickly highlight that Matterport is not limited to just the kind of traditional, let's call it residential and commercial properties. And I just wanted to show you some screenshots here of some properties that have been scanned using Matterport to illustrate the breadth and capabilities that we have. So in the top left is a quick example of a 18-story, it's the Bank of Italy property. And here you can see captured with Matterport, 18-story building going through a massive renovation. And so it's been gutted out down to its the shell and now is being refitted and rebuilt. Just another great example of how Matterport is not just the 3-bedroom apartment in Baguios. This is actually showing you how it can be used for larger properties. Speaking of larger properties, at the bottom left, this is an aerial shot. That aerial shot's not taken with Matterport, by the way, but the client here this is an electric car manufacturer in China. A massive facility for their entire process of general assembly, the batteries, the painting, the construction of the car. So they use Matterport to scan their entire facility, their entire campus. And so each one of those buildings you can click into and then view their production. This was actually one of the things with COVID is they realized their suppliers, investors, stakeholders couldn't get on site to help with the business. And this provided a great way to create that digital experience for them. The middle, top middle, this is I think this is a substation, electrical substation. But if you think about this, could be a telco towers or telco base stations, electric substations, water treatment plants, whatever it may be. So increasingly number of utilities and infrastructure providers using Matterport, especially given that their assets are widely distributed. If you take the Philippine archipelago and think about all of the base stations, all of the infrastructure that exists, everything from Mindanao up to northern Luzon and every place in between, how you're going to be able to keep track of all of that asset and be able to do that again without travel now. So again, we're seeing a lot of increase in that sector. The top right is a neat example from the shipping area. That's the engine room of a cargo ship, one of the large cargo ships. I think this was actually captured in Singapore while it was going through transit. So again, a new industry sector that's recognizing the value of digital twins to unlock new efficiencies in their workflow and their business. The bottom right is an unfortunate situation where somebody's had a fire in their home. And as I mentioned earlier, we're seeing an increasing amount of use in us for the claims process. So the comprehensive documentation of the damage of that property. And the great thing here is, unlike relying just on 2D photography, which is typically what's been used in that sector, here you can have a fully immersive 3D digital twin of the full property or the area that's been damaged. And the great thing here for the claims process, for the basically everybody who's been hit by this impact, it's no longer, if you think about 2D photos, if you lose, like where was that photo of that wall? I don't remember which wall that is, which room is it in? You can't then scan up from that photo to see, well, was there water damage below it? Did it impact the floor below? Things of that nature. So incredible amounts of value that's really being unlocked for folks in that ecosystem that are going through a very difficult time. The last two examples, right in the middle bottom, it may be hard to figure out what those are, but these are kind of really strange ones that I came across. The one in the middle that you really probably can't tell what that is, that's a tunnel. This is a rail tunnel that was scanned using Matterport. So again, just another illustration of what's possible. And then the bottom one is actually a 747 cargo plane scanned with Matterport. That's actually, I know you can't really see too well in that. Those are, I think, natural gas tanks in the body of the fuselage of that plane. So again, well beyond just scanning your 3-bedroom flats, there's a lot of things that can be unlocked with Matterport. Okay, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here because I want to talk about a feature that was recently released. And for those of you that are using Matterport, I want to make sure you're aware of it. And those that are not, there's a feature that's come out that may be of interest and value to you. This feature was basically driven to us by our customer request, which was adding in a blur tool. So when you capture a Matterport model, we are capturing a photorealistic 3D digital twin of that built space, but there may be content in that space that you need to protect. This could be, in the case of promotional real estate, this could be wanting to blur family photos or a graduate certificate on the wall that has personal identifying information. So a great thing about the blur tool is we can allow you to not have to, in the past, you'd either have to hide that information, take the photos down, do things of that nature. Now with our automated blur tool, you can go in and actually manually blur any content that needs to be protected from others to see. So I just wanted to quickly talk about a tactical new product or a new solution that we launched to make sure folks were aware of that. I believe, Ivan, I think you showed this slide earlier. The exciting thing about this slide when I look at it is, yes, there are some amazing brands on here. With 300,000 customers, obviously, this is just a snapshot. But what it really symbolizes is that we are unlocking and helping a lot of companies at scale around the world. We also have a lot of small organizations. So Matterport is not limited to just large multinationals, but we have everything from individual sole proprietors, photographers, architects, individuals, as well as the large corporations as well. So with that, I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. I know the main audience here is around the AEC industry. And so I wanted to dive in and talk a little bit about how Matterport is driving value for our architects, engineering, and construction clients. So before I kind of present this slide, I'm just going to jump to a couple Matterport models to illustrate. So the first one I just want to show you, this is a commercial property. This is what we call the dollhouse view of Matterport. So this property has been scanned with the Matterport Pro 2 camera, automatically then stitched together and rendered and delivered back to you as this 3D model. This is what we call the dollhouse view. It's a great way to get a full comprehensive understanding of the 3D space. You get a sense of size and area very quickly with this. I can also look at it from a floor plan view, so kind of an aerial view looking down. This is actually a colorized point cloud is what you're looking at here. I can, because I mentioned this is a dimensionally accurate model, I can actually turn on our little measurement mode here. And if I want to take measurements, so let's take a measurement in the main lobby here. If I'm interested in getting a sense of the size of that lobby, I can take measurements directly within just using my browser and the link to this model. And really, any area that I'm interested in, if I know I've got to be doing some flooring or like carpentry, again, I can get some quick measurements just doing this here. I can actually click into the model anywhere I want. So let's go into that main lobby. And now I'm in that lobby that I was just showing the model from or measurement from. And actually I can take measurements inside here as well. I can quickly double click to get the size of the height of the room, double click on any flat surface, and I can get a perpendicular view to see the width of the room as well. And I can also take measurements of any content items within. So if I just wanted to take a measurement within the space, I can do that as well. The great thing here, and I could go on and talk about all the value this unlocks. I'll just touch on a couple things. So one, because you can access this at any time, if you've ever, and I think everybody who's in the AEC industry would have come across this, you would have forgot to take a measurement. Oh, I need to get this measurement. I need to go do that. Now you can go back virtually and take a measurement and without having to physically travel or get on site. Now, sitting behind this model is actually some 3D data, both a point cloud as well as a 3D mesh. Those 3D data assets can actually be extracted from Matterport and put into your design software. So if you're an Autodesk shop, you could be putting this into Recap, into Revit. So I'll just jump back to this slide and illustrate this. So with Matterport, not only do you get that 3D virtual tour that you can interact with as I was showing you, but there's also the 3D data assets that can be downloaded and then used in your design workflows. So again, into the OBJ file, into Recap, and then from that, extracted and put into Revit. We have some online content. There's also a recent video that a customer put together to show how that process works. I also wanted to just quickly play this short video here. One of our partner companies based in Poland has built a new application. It hasn't actually been launched yet, but it's going to get launched very soon. But I wanted to show you this because it illustrates the power of what you can do with a Matterport digital twin. So what they have done is they're looking at how to take your as is, compare it to your the design documents, integrating this with Revit, and really, and actually doing things like time travel, so you can see over time how the process, how your construction site has changed or your build location has changed. And again, getting this really highly immersive experience. Just another illustration of what's possible with Matterport. All right, I'm going to move on to diving in a little bit specific into these different areas. So, oh, sorry, just before I do that, one other element. So if any of you are using BIM 360, Matterport has an API integration with the Autodesk BIM C360 product, so you can directly view your Matterport model within your BIM 360 dashboard. It's a very drag and drop, very easy to use integration. So that's there. If any of your organizations are using Multivista, which is a construction documentation software, or Procore, we have integrations, direct integrations with both of those solutions. And there's information online about that. So again, further illustrations of how we're extending the value of Matterport into these ecosystems. All right. Now, I know this has a fair amount of words on it. I'm going to give you a bit of a talk around how customers are using and getting value from Matterport, specifically around that design phase. So this is looking at the architect and the design element. So here we're looking at how you can go on site, extract the 3D data assets, and put those into BIM, put those into your into CAD, into the design process. So really exciting thing here is that you can save an incredible amount of time by going on site, capturing your Matterport model, extracting that information, taking something that would often take days, if not weeks, to capture, and doing that literally in hours. We've got an incredible amount of clients that have testimonials of clients that are talking about the amount of time it saves, but also not only the time, but just the rework that it's reducing, just driving a lot of efficiencies in that aspect of the workflow. By the way, we'll be sharing this deck with you all, so you'll have an opportunity of revisiting some of this content later on. In the build sector, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but this is where we're seeing a lot of clients that are using us to do product documentation of new build and construction. So here you can be capturing a key milestone. So after the framing is up, once the electric is in, at different key milestones, being able to document that and capture that. If any of you are doing milestone-based invoicing, it's a great way to illustrate and show to the customer what's been completed. That can be part of your handover documentation as well at the end. And again, the great thing about this is it also gives you this ability to go back in time and look at things. So you think about once the solid walls go up, any of the work that sits behind that, so any cable runs, conduit, things that are in place, you wouldn't be able to see where it is. Now you may have design documents, but we all know that the build and the design there can often be differences in that. So again, some incredible value that's being unlocked. And in the time of COVID, if you have any property sites that you can't physically get to visit, whether it's either not practical or possible given travel restrictions, this creates a great way of being able to continue to drive and get that visibility. And I mentioned earlier on about the facilities management piece, a really exciting area here where we have clients that will add into their Matterport model designs, product certifications, inventory, content like asset tags, troubleshooting guides. All sorts of content can get added into your 3D model so that it can then live with your facilities management and property management teams. A great way of driving efficiencies in terms of reducing downtime, unlocking new levels of productivity, and it's just a great way of keeping all of this information centralized and easy to access. And again, we have a number of clients that are using us in that capacity. I'm going to skip over this slide. This is really about if you're doing anything with, say, in the retail sector and you're deploying more sites, opening up new locations, there is a workflow that we are unlocking incredible value for to help expedite the time to market. If you're in retail or have a number of sites that you're opening up, the big advantage here is that we can help you get the store or location launched faster. which is going to basically have an ROI impact in terms of giving you revenue in the business faster than without Matterport. Lastly, I want to talk about is a new feature. It's a very exciting feature that we're launching. It came out, or it's been driven by the requests of our AEC clients. And this is, if you think about the matter tags, you know, those little asset tags I was showing you earlier, where you can add in content, PDF documents, schematics, whatever it may be. It's very linear in execution. The idea with our notes is that you could create a collaborative engagement here. So I could be tagging. So I could go into a tag and say, Ivan, we need to look at this particular tabletop. Is this the right one? Or I think we need to fix this. Ivan would get an indication about that in his inbox. He'd click on it. He'd go directly into the Matterport model to this specific location. He'd see my comment. He could add comments back. So we can actually collaborate. He can mark when it's done. So we're seeing a lot of clients that are using this now to unlock new levels. So it's just in beta right now. We'll be launching this later this quarter. So really excited about this. It is a feature that's been asked specifically of our AEC clients. That's a great segue into my last section here. I just want to talk a little bit about what's going on with Matterport in terms of that next stage of development. As a technology company, we are constantly innovating and developing new features and functionality for our customers and the entire ecosystem. But that's often not enough. And so what we did is we opened up our development toolkit to our customers, to partners, third-party developers. And these third-party developers are now able to, or yourselves, customers that have some development resources in-house, you can actually build applications and extend the features and functionality of Matterport on your own. I'm just going to quickly illustrate some examples of what we're able to surface and deliver for our customers now. You can do IoT integration. So here you can see in the top an example with dynamic data coming in real time into your Matterport model to illustrate temperature, water pressure, whatever that may be. The bottom example is virtual staging. So we're unlocking the ability to drop 3D data assets into your model. So you could do virtual staging. So this could be if you have a shell home, a new build, and there's no furniture in the property. We all know it's easier to showcase and show that if you have furniture in there. Again, we've got now third-party developers building applications to do virtual staging. The ability to remotely manage your matter tag, so dynamically updating content. So on the left side here, you can see merchandising content being dynamically pushed into a matter tag as things get updated for this retailer. On the right side is an example of a question and answer. So for training and customer onboarding or staff onboarding, you could be building questionnaires directly into your Matterport models. We've seen this for like facility managers and other folks that in retail as well to do some spot checks. Just going through this quickly just to get a sense of what's possible here. The left side here, you can see we've taken the ability to introduce, say, in this case, a security camera. We know what the field of view is, being able to introduce that into that 3D model. The example on the right is dropping in streaming video into the model. So here, our Matterport models are capturing a moment in time. Here you can see an example where we're in a product's been built using our development toolkit to insert video. So again, lots of different use cases that unlocks for customers. If you're going to learn more about this on our webpage under the partners section, which is under platform, we are going to be launching more and more partnerships with companies. I think today we actually launched one with PTC, integrating with their Unity solution. And we're going to have more and more activities coming out in this section of our partner platform as we really unlock a broader set of developers to build applications on top of Matterport. I'm gonna wrap up with what this means in terms of where we're going. This is all about building on what we have. So Matterport has this enormous database of spatial data. We're unlocking great value, as I've been sharing with you, for our customers across a variety of different use cases, but we're just getting started. This is now going to be about how do we extend that. Part of that's through the developer ecosystem, building more applications on top of it, but also unlocking and getting more spatial understanding. being able to interrogate and ask questions of your Matterport models that today just isn't possible. I'm not going to present all this. You can see some of the questions that are illustrated here as examples of what's possible or what will be possible as we unlock kind of the spatial data layer of Matterport. And some really exciting use cases that we're already working with. This is an industrial client that's basically using our technology to be able to automatically tag all of their sprinklers, as an example. So some really exciting things that we're going to be excited to share with you over the upcoming months as we build out our relationship with MSC and do more with you guys. I will end with one last component here. Some of you may be aware, but if not, Matterport's actually going public. It's in the public domain. You can even learn more about it by going to our website, and there's an investor page. The reason I highlight this is that with our going public, we've put out into the marketplace a lot about our vision and our direction and where we're going. If you're interested in really seeing what this future of spatial data is going to look like, I would encourage you to go look at this our webpage for the investors. It's got some exciting things about where this is going. So yeah, hold on. There's a lot more to come very, very soon.